and welcome to the POP podcast, Picking Off Punches. I'm with my boy, the host with the most, Derek Drusher. What's good, Daddy-O?
Chillin'. Happy to be here.
You're not only my DOG, you're the GOD. How you feeling?
Bow.
Aight. And of course, I'm Sergio Chicone. Sergio Chicone, because that skin is smooth like a dolphin. If you don't know, act like you do.
Blizzy.
Hey, my no stay stuffy, 365.
Blowhound.
Yeah. I got the RZA dialect. Wu-Tang hat is on fire. I'm feeling it.
You know what I'm proud of? At least I know the Wu-Tang albums, right? When I see someone with a Wu-Tang shirt on or an article of clothing, as I may, whether it be jacket, you know, they make pants too, Wu wear and all that. I go, oh, what's your favorite album? And they go, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like me moving around the street with a Rolling Stones t-shirt.
Yeah, like you're wearing a Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. And you know, like one hit song.
You faking it, cuz.
Faking it.
Faking it.
Yeah, slipping on your pimping. You're slacking on your macking. I like the way you wear that Wu-Tang hat because you wear it like you're not really wearing it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you got to rock a t-shirt like you're wearing a chinchilla. You got to wear a chinchilla like you're rocking a t-shirt.
Yo, and both of us are representing our boys. Say, look, you got the Anxiety Tuesday on.
Yeah, my man Chrissy Chaos DeStefano.
And I'm rocking Street Talk, my man Max Mantikoff.
Yeah. But today is all about the boxer, the late Vernon the Viper Forrest. He's from Georgia. He was a fantastic boxer. And we're going to have Mr. Frank Durst, a friend of his, also a teammate. And he's going to highlight this very unique individual. Not only was he a fantastic boxer, but he was also a humanitarian, if I may.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we go any further, I would like you to say the late Vernon.
The late Vernon.
Late Vernon the Viper Forrest 3 times very quickly.
Okay. The late Vernon Forrest Viper. Oh, fuck. I got this. The late Vernon Viper. Oh, fuck, that's hard.
Yo, bro, you have a speech impediment.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the overbite or the fact that
The late Vernon the Viper Forrest. The late Vernon the Viper Forrest. The late Vernon the Viper Forrest. What's good, kid?
Yeah,
maybe I should be the...
Yeah. There's a good possibility you may be doing the intros. There's a good possibility I might just be the one on the sideline eating Cheetos and licking cheese off my fingertips.
That's That's me. That's me. Yo, I won't hide it. Fritos.
Yeah, dog.
I can't wait for the popcorn.
Yo, we're looking for sponsorship. So, yeah, Fritos, white cheddar popcorn, Doritos, Coca-Cola. We are very interested.
Now, as my colleague said so eloquently when speaking of Vernon, you know, our producer, Marshall, was asking us.
Mr. Grupp?
Mr. Grupp was asking who's finally back from vacation.
What a good life.
Yeah, great life. Yeah. Great life.
I saw his Instagram story. He's laid out on a pool, you know.
All big.
Yeah. You know, this sunblock on his chest. But he's playing it safe. His hair is in the water. He's still got the mask on.
Really?
In the pool.
Oh, my God. Mask in the pool.
Yeah.
Marshall.
It was an aquatic mask.
Marshall asked me. He said, what made you guys think of wanting to do an episode on Forrest? And to me, it was because everything I knew about him as a fighter and then just little trickles of information I would get about him over time. Plus, you know, the way he passed away, you know, not allowing himself to be robbed. I believe I heard a story of him one time chasing down somebody that robbed him.
That's correct.
When he was in the Olympics.
Oh, really?
I believe so. I hope I don't have it confused with another fighter. That's why we'll ask Frank. But he just seemed like a very stand-up guy.
Yeah. He's one of these guys that I became interested in because of his hardships. Right. I knew he was a great fighter. When he lost to Mayoga, I was a big fan of Mayoga. But I never really, after the fact, right?
Right.
But I became interested in Vernon after that fight. I needed to see what was his history. And he beat, you know, some guys, like, convincingly. He beat Shane 2 times over.
He stopped the Shane Mosley train.
And yeah, and
he brought
Shane
it to a
Mosley,
dead stop.
Right, and Shane was considered the best at the time. So I didn't know any of this. So when he fought Mayoga, who's this wild, swinging Nicaraguan with a Newport cigarette perched in his mouth and a Budweiser beer on the left.
Calling people sexual slurs.
Yeah.
He was a maniac.
He was mean. He was kind of like Edwin Valero, Mayoga.
Yeah, absolutely. We should do an episode on him. But
so super unorthodox, and he stopped.
The thing is, when Vernon lost those fights, right? Like, I don't usually feel bad for fighters when I see them lose, you know what I mean? But he was trying so hard against Mayorga, and he just, styles make fights.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he was rocked early, and he was just so committed to the fight.
Right.
I mean, and you saw it in his eyes. I mean, he was wobbly, and he fought him a second time. It was a lot closer. He lost, I believe, the split decision, but that made me interested in him.
Right.
And then I come to find out he had a decorated amateur career. He was also into helping people, which is nice, man. It's so refreshing. He had a non-for-profit called Destiny's Child, and he was very hands-on. I mean, he was out there with the gloves.
Right.
And I'm not talking about boxing. That he's out there with the plastic gloves because he didn't want to touch those kids. No, I'm kidding.
Yo.
He was out there, teaching kids, instilling confidence, just really in the grit with them. And I just found that to be super admirable. Let me stop saying super admirable, and just a stand-up dude.
Yeah. That's what drew me to him and why I wanted to do the episode on him.
And also the tragic way he went out. So unfortunate. He's at a gas station with his 11-year-old godson.
Mm-hmm.
It was a car rob. I believe they tried to carjack him.
Carjack him, take jewelry, something like that.
Yeah, and he was not having it.
He chased them, and they waited for him to turn around before they shot him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luckily, those guys are doing some real time in the Bing.
Right.
Yeah. You're familiar with the Bing.
I am familiar with the Bing, but I would also like to say...
Hey, why don't you celebrate criminal activity now that we're talking about this? Celebrate it now.
Well, listen, I'm not one of these...
No, you weren't a violent...
Yeah, I was very
criminal.
violent. I was very violent.
Yo, I love the fingers intertwined with each other. And I was very violent.
I was.
Did you stab someone in the ass for Doritos one time?
Cheetos. It
Cheetos.
was over a bag of Cheetos. Right in the ass.
Would it have been the same deal if it was Doritos or Cheetos with just your shit?
Anything. You can't take nothing. You can't take nothing from me without getting dealt with.
Was it the left cheek or right cheek?
Right cheek. And he went, you got it. But
wait, we got to... Did he throw the Cheetos behind him?
Yes,
like a
that's exactly what he did.
throws,
Yeah, he went, you got it.
It throws a banana peel?
He was trying to get in a cell.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't having it.
I also like the fact that Vernon had the nickname the Viper.
The Viper, that's a great nickname. Mm-hmm. A great nickname. Now, I don't know if vipers are poisonous. I think that's your area of expertise. Because you don't know shit about boxing. But snakes?
Well, let me just correct you by saying no snake is poisonous. You have to ingest for it to be considered poisonous. They will be considered venomous. And yeah, there's many different types of vipers too. I'm interested.
There's tree vipers?
Oh, absolutely.
Ground vipers?
Correct.
What about water vipers?
Yes, I believe so.
Stumped you.
Stumped me a little bit. I'm not sure if a moccasin is considered a viper. I don't think so.
Water moccasins.
Yeah, AKA cottonmouth.
Yeah. Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I move around like a cottonmouth when I smoke weed. I'm like that. Dry ass mouth.
There's actually cottonmouths in New York.
Really? Upstate?
I believe so. I believe there might be
You're
a
familiar
few.
with upstate. Okay.
God, here we go. So, so this is the thing. But getting back into, I know when you asked me if I was violent, I'm not like, as far as like all this police reform goes for like, or prison reform. I actually lean very conservative on that. I think anybody that commits any act of violence, whether it's slapping somebody, shooting somebody, they should have to pay, and sentences should be given out accordingly.
So people who are asking for reform in that area don't agree with that for the most part?
No, they want everybody to just go free.
Really? I thought it was more they want to instill more of a guide where it's like they're actually helping the people, not necessarily just locking them in the cage and having them sleep on top of each other and having roaches and fecal matter to lay on and use as pillows and
Oh, you're
sheets.
talking about what I had the picture from Rikers the other day?
Mm-hmm.
That dude, you know what's so crazy?
Propaganda?
People are like, oh my God, it's been happening for years.
So it doesn't need to be addressed. Just leave it alone?
Oh my God. The media was just finally like, oh, we need something new to write. Come on, everybody knows. Everybody who needs to know knows. It doesn't matter if you know. It doesn't matter if I know.
Yeah.
The people who need to know. The politicians, the correctional officers, the inmates. Everybody who needs to know knows. All right? This place is going to be like that until they shut it down. It's a shithole. Everybody would rather go upstate to prison than be there. Believe that.
Yeah, I believe it should be shut down, but I'm not going to march or participate in any of those activities because those protesters need to be young, vibrant, and articulate, and I don't care that much.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, I love young, I love young protesters, people who fight for our rights, people who help the community, but they march too damn much, and I have bunions that I need to take care of, and I'm running a race next week. That's more of my concern.
Yeah, I don't like being in large groups. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, because of COVID, right?
Something like that.
So Vernon the Viper Forrest, I'm really excited about highlighting this gentleman. He he should be an inspiration to us all. And like I said, we want to make sure that we highlight these figures. And I gotta say, the driving point to this is because of the tragedy. And that's when I went back and researched him. And I found that he beat Sergio Mora after a defeat. So he was one of these guys that would lose and bounce back. He fought a lot of guys 2 times over.
I thought he drew with Sergio.
You want to look that up? I thought Sergio. Sergio also named the Latin snake Mora.
Yeah, 2 Battle of the Snakes.
Right, very slippery.
Yeah, the guy had a Vernon also had a reconstructed arm, and I can't wait to talk to Frank about that.
Oh, he had the mechanical emoji arm.
Something like that.
Interesting.
Something like
Was
that.
it the left or right?
I'm pretty sure it was his left arm. I'm pretty sure.
So yeah, he fought a lot of guys 2 times over. I believe he fought.
Mosley twice.
Raul Frank twice.
Did that Michel Picarillo? What was his name? Remember that guy?
Sergio Mora twice. So he was a guy that went after it. Even that, he went for his.
No, he was. Yeah, he definitely was not a sucker. He beat Ike Corte. He beat a lot of good fighters.
That was a questionable defeat though, and that was after a couple of losses, I believe. We should.
He did lose a majority decision to Sergio Mora. He did.
So I'm excited about it. We're gonna have.
He beat everybody, bro.
What would you say his style was? Would you think it was that of a Viper? Was he like from the outside, kind of an ambush predator? Just laid low and bang out. I mean, I think he could mix it up nicely. He boxed. He could get.
I think he was a great boxer and had great ring generalship. He had decent power. He was also very tall and long, but he could mix it up on the inside. I just think he was an all around good boxer. I feel that he just had a lot of heart also, and made up for he wasn't that quick, but he made up for speed and
the tenacity.
Yeah,
it's a good word, tenacity.
Exactly. Damn, man, it's such a shame because he beats Mosley twice, right? This is his come up, right?
Which, by the way, Mosley's a technical fighter with power in both hands, has good speed.
And he was very fast at that.
Very fast. I mean, that's a prime Mosley. And then he loses against Mayoga, which is odd, right? But, that's the beautiful thing about boxing. It's very it's very unpredictable. And Mayoga was swinging. He was coming from different angles.
Right.
Very unorthodox.
Right.
And he got to him 2 times over.
I got to see...
So I'm interested in speaking to Frank Durst about Vernon, and we're gonna get more in depth with it. And what question do you have for Durst?
I wanna know how he felt, because to me it just looked like the Vernon was gonna be sitting pretty. Maybe be able to unify the belts.
He was a 2-time world champion.
But he was champion when he passed away. So I was wondering about that because he had just come back. He took 2 years after he lost. Took 2 years off after he lost to Mayorga and was just starting to inch his way back. I think he did 1 or 2 warm-up fights, fought Corte, fought Michel Picarillo. Yeah, he fought in 2 different weight classes.
There was a dude named Michel?
Michele, he was one of those European. I think he's from Italy.
Okay.
But he beat him. He had the 2 fight. He beat Ike Corte, beat Carlos Baldemir, Michel Picarillo. He fought Sergio Mora twice, and after he beat Sergio, unanimous decision, he passed away.
And what weight did he compete at? Was it welterweight?
Welterweight, and
he was a tall welterweight.
And 154, junior middleweight, 2 weight class. He had the frame to go up to 160.
He did.
Yeah.
He would have been one of those guys that would have eventually. He would have went up, and he would have probably fought Sergio Martinez.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the cyclist.
Marshall's holding up a sign that says super welterweight. Just so you know, Marshall junior middleweight and super welterweight is the same thing. Okay.
Yeah, and Derek stands at 5'2", and he's a super heavyweight.
First of all, I'm 5'7" and 3/4, and I weigh 210 pounds. Yeah, and I'll smash anybody. That's
Yo, Derek has 30 seconds in the gas tank.
Yeah, but if I get you.
Yo, your calves are mad big too. You got Korean man calves.
The thing is this, I'm good at throwing hands, but if I get a hold of you,
man, I'll punch you in your chest to smell the Newport smoke.
I would smother you.
No, man, I'll just keep you out. Bang, bang, bang.
I think I would just fall on you and lay there.
I'll pivot around. Anyway, without further ado, let's bring on our man, Frank Durst. So I'm Sergio. This is my host, my co-host, Derek Drescher, and welcome to POP, Picking Off Punches. We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on.
So the reason, first of all, I want to thank you for coming on a second time. And the reason why we wanted you on is we have a deep respect for Vernon, the Viper Forrest. We were talking about him a couple of weeks ago, and we thought, damn, POP is here to highlight some of our favorite boxing figures. And we just had to have someone who can assist us with that.
Right.
So you being a teammate, a good friend of his, we're very excited to have you on. How old were you when you met Vernon?
You know, I think, it's hard. I can't really remember the exact age I was, but it was in the 80s, and to step back to that, there's another Augusta native, family friend, Billy Baxter. You might have heard of him. I don't know how much you keep up with professional gambling or poker, but Bill is a native of Augusta, and he was also a manager for boxers. Good family friend. I started boxing, I was around 9 years old, but I had a bad temper, and my legal name is Francis, but I go by Frank. Being small.
It's so funny. We were just talking about people with men with I guess unisex names, and
Right.
Derek brought up Michelle. A boxer by the name of Michelle, and I was like, damn, that's got to be tough. That must have inspired him to become a boxer.
Right, yeah. Yeah, so kept growing up in that, with the name Francis, and you're a shrimp, and getting picked on at school, so I got in, there was the Augusta Boxing Club, and Billy Baxter, told my dad, said, hey, if he's getting in fights, having problems, behavioral issues, try to take him to the gym, get it out of him. And at that time, I remember meeting Albert Jones, Kevin Wright, and Vernon Forrest, and started my 16-year career in amateur boxing, and so very grateful for that. Vernon eventually moved away to Marquette, Michigan, and trained, under the tutelage of Al Mitchell, who was the 1996 Olympic coach and one of my coaches on, international boxing teams. Great person, but, that kind of gives a summary. But, the other part of that is that Bill Baxter also managed Roger Mayweather, and so Roger would come to Augusta and train. And Roger is, the uncle of Floyd Mayweather. Held the hand pads. He passed away last year. A great loss. But probably one of the best ping pong players I've ever seen, and then also one of the most knowledgeable guys, Roger Mayweather was as far as boxing.
Absolutely. And he was so much fun to listen to.
He was a great fighter also.
You don't know shit about boxing. Yeah. That was his quote that just rings everywhere you go.
Right. Yeah. So, but no, Roger was a tremendous guy, and I got to train a little bit with him and with Vernon, and then also before he fought Julio Cesar Chavez, and so actually still have the gloves. He autographed the gloves that he fought Chavez in. I still have a pair of those. And so I'm a big Mayweather fan, and so there is the boxing community is large, but then also very close knit at the same time.
Absolutely. Isn't it interesting talking about the Mayweathers? How there's been an evolution with the fighters, right? With you have the father Senior, Floyd Senior, and then the Mamba Roger.
Right.
Which I love that nickname, the Mamba, and it just because I'm a big animal lover, right? So we got Vernon, the Viper Forrest. I just love the snakes as a nickname.
Right. Yeah.
And
that's kind of what I wanted to segue into that. Because you mentioned you obviously know your boxing really well, and so Roger was the Black Mamba, and so I kind of was tying it with Bill Baxter, who's the manager. So Roger was the Black Mamba. He's a two-time world champion, and not many people know that. Because obviously Floyd's had so much success, and that's the most successful Mayweather. But Floyd Senior, Roger, and then their other brother Jeff, was Jazzy Jeff Mayweather, was also a very successful boxer. But anyway,
he's fun to listen to as well.
Right? Yeah. They're all funny guys. Good family. But the Viper. Y'all had asked me, before this, we got on the air, that how did Vernon get that nickname? And I don't know specifically, but at the time, when Vernon was early in his pro career, Bill Baxter was helping him out with that, and he moved to Vegas and was training actually with Roger, and so I think that's where the Viper nickname originated and kind of took off.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I love hearing this kind of stuff. It
It's the best.
The fact that I know now that Roger Mayweather was a great ping pong player, it's like just.
And you know he was shit talking when he did it too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He had his own ping pong paddle.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat you ass right now.
Yeah. You don't know shit about ping pong.
Right. So you were competing. Did you move around with Vernon a lot, or were you at a different weight class?
No, I lived in Augusta. And I was a different weight class. Majority of my amateur career, I was bantamweight, 119 pounds. And
punches and bunches.
Right. And featherweight, 125 pounds. And so and Vernon, lived in Atlanta for a time period. We had a great team of boxers, at that time, and also big influence with Buddy and Bo Davis ran the Georgia Boxing Association, and Evander Holyfield was also a big supporter. So and Vernon and Evander were really close. I mean, both past Olympians, and I had the opportunity to have Evander working second, in my corner one night when it was Team Holyfield, versus the U.S. Marine champions, and having Vernon calling punches, and support me on the ringside.
Ooh,
so
that sounds strong.
It doesn't get much cooler than that. So I had to miss school. Had to miss school, and somebody said, "What'd you do?" I said, "Well, I had Evander Holyfield, holding my spit bucket, and then I had Vernon Forrest cheering me on the ringside." So it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Were you able to? Did you find that it was helpful having Evander in the corner? Because I understand that some ex-fighters work in the corner doesn't always match up well.
Right. Yeah.
Did you feel comfortable and feel like, oh, this is a very good situation?
Well, I think working as a second, having him in the corner as a second, he was my coach Tom Moritas was there, in the corner along with Evander. I mean, but yeah, to have hey, you need to duck under, his right hand and hit him with a left hook, and have, heavyweight champion of the world, telling you and giving you advice when you're in the corner, it kind of, rings like, man, yeah, I've kind of made it and had some success in the boxing arena. So.
That's awesome, man. Good for you.
Did you hit it right off with Vernon as soon as you met him?
I did, and we stayed, like I've said, stayed friends for decades. And even when he's traveling around and I'm traveling, I ended up going to the University of Tennessee, where I graduated from college, and really that was a big part of my story with Vernon, and supported each other through our careers. And when I moved to Tennessee, always stayed in touch with them. We stayed in touch and played golf together. He was a much better boxer than he was golfer, but still had a good taste. He liked to putt, but he didn't like to hit the ball that much. I mean, but we stayed in touch, and that friendship was always there. Got to see him win the, I believe it was his first, world championship against Marlon Thomas at Bell Auditorium in Augusta. That was a big moment for Vernon, to be in his hometown and to win a world championship. And then, obviously, beating Shane Mosley, for the first time as a pro. Is obviously it's the best bet that I ever made in my life. I mean, because I was talking with Vernon
and a prime Shane Mosley at that.
Yeah.
He didn't just he beat him. He handled him he handled Mosley well. Yeah, he handled him well.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Not once, 2 times over.
Right.
Correct.
Sure.
I think he was the first guy to knock him down too.
He was.
If I'm not mistaken.
I think he knocked him out either second or third round, but a great fight. And the crazy thing is, at that point, he was, I talked to Vernon in training camp, about a week out from the fight, and he said, "Hey," and he said, "Have you seen these odds on the fight? It's 10-1." And I'd never placed a bet on a boxing match, and I said, "Well, I had to find a bookie in Augusta and got 11-1 odds, and ended up, betting a little money on it, and so it was a nice profit." So.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Were you? From what I could tell, just from like watching Vernon in his interviews and as a fighter, and just little trickles of information I've heard about him over the years, he seemed like a very respectable and stand up guy. Is that?
Absolutely. I'd say just a wonderful spirit. A big smile can light up the room, and his humility and service to others. Not just to me, but just all. He changed people no matter who he was, and he always said, "Frank, you want to be a champion in the ring and out of the ring." And so and he lived that well. I mean, he wanted to like I said, be of service to others, and if he saw something could be done better, he was the first to take action and try to get involved. It was something that he was passionate about. But yeah, it's just really, like I said, a wonderful spirit and very giving.
Beautiful.
Giving
I
person.
love to hear that. Where do you think he learned that? You think his parents, or was it someone at the gym that inspired that sort of way of life? Where do you think he got that from?
I mean, I think, his family, his mother, I believe his mother just turned, 79, this past week. I'm still keep in touch with Vernon Forrest, one of his brothers and siblings, and then Alfonso, his other brother. But, I think it's really a family environment. And then, he always said, don't forget where you came from and always give back to your community. And so he wanted to not forget where he came from and give back to others. So.
And his charity, Destiny's Child, is still flowing. It's still got wheels. It's still a thing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so he initially started that and, was, a great thing. And that's one of those where he saw there was a disservice and there was a way he could go in and improve it and make it better. And so it was helping, people with mentally challenged, to help secure a job and a place to live. And he got involved, and I give him a lot of credit for that.
That's very honorable. Very honorable.
And he got involved. Like, he was there in the physical. This wasn't the sort of thing where he was, I'll donate some money. He was there in the mix, mentoring these kids. And it's so funny. I saw an interview where he said, I wanted to teach him how to box. And I was teaching a kid at 1-2. And then another kid just came and hit him. And he's like, we're not going to do any more boxing.
Right. Yeah. But,
so that's funny.
Yeah. Just go ahead.
There was a story. I didn't know if it was true or not. And I think when he was on the Olympic team, somebody stole something from him, stole his hat or something like that.
Right.
And he chased him down and got the hat back, right?
Yeah, which, sadly, I mean, I guess if it's a precursor, to what happened in Atlanta, on that night, that was I believe it was Evander, Holyfield that was with him, and someone stole his hat, and Vernon chased him until he couldn't find him anymore. And then came back, the guy got his hat, and I believe Evander said, it's just a hat, let it go. So, but Vernon was the type of guy. I mean, he'd give you the shirt off his back if he knew, your intent, was good, and that you were working hard and, trying to better your life, but he didn't want anybody to take anything from him. And so, unfortunately, I think that night in July in 2009, that's unfortunately the same thing happened,
A Georgia native and boxing champion died in the streets of Southwest Atlanta last night.
The victim in this case is retired professional boxer Vernon Forrest.
Atlanta police say 2 men attempted to carjack Vernon Forrest when he stopped at a nearby gas station to put air in a tire of his Jaguar. Forrest fought back.
And at some point, the suspect and victim became involved in a brief foot chase. During that foot chase, it's my understanding there was an exchange of gunfire.
Forrest was shot 7 to 8 times. Most of the wounds he suffered were in his torso. Detectives are looking for red Monte Carlo getaway car.
Yeah, that's it was horrible. I know that when he turned back around is when he was shot.
Right.
I believe. Right. They
Yeah.
shot him in the back. Yeah. Just talking about, you said, he would give anybody the shirt off the back. I could see how when you give so much of your time and energy to like assisting and improving things, if someone was to take something from you, you'd probably be, pretty upset,
Sure.
So I guess we're...
Did he have a switch? Because it seems that we got the fighter, and then we have the humanitarian. Did you see that he was just a fighter, or would you consider him a mean fighter where he was in the ring?
Oh, no, he had
what would you say his style was?
He definitely had a big switch. I mean, so he could turn it on and off. I mean, so like I said, the wonderful spirit, loving, beautiful smile, and then you switch that, as they say, you ring that bell, you throw that first jab. I mean, he was in, and it was just a switch that he could turn on and off. Some people have that, some people don't, but he definitely had it. But really, cared, if you want to say, about the human race, and I think it's God's grace that he wanted to share that and serve others. I mean, and at the end of the day, that's what he did. I mean, he wanted people's lives to be better and enrich those lives that he touched, and he definitely did it for me, and he's done it for Ray Whitfield, who is now the director of the Augusta Boxing Club, so Vernon was a little older than me and Ray's a little bit younger. And so we all overlapped, and we've all been impacted by the different fighters, one of those being Vernon, that have come through the club and really, have that lasting impact on your life.
Wow. Yeah, I'm always intrigued by the disposition of a fighter. I just wanted to ask you a personal question. Were you able to switch on and off like that?
I think
or was it like hard?
No,
because that's a true professional, right? Someone who could do that.
Right, yeah. I could switch it on and off, but, you get pretty intense, when you're in training camp. But, that's the time where you're supposed to be.
If a fight gets called off and you're training for it, how deflating is that?
That's
It's like a pin
Right.
in a tire, right?
Right.
Just like, tss.
Right.
What do? You just go to other sparring camps
Yeah,
and just get the work in, or you just look for another fight as soon as possible?
Yeah, stay in there and try to get it rescheduled. But you try to stay in shape. Not get too far from the gym.
That never happened to you, Sergio?
It did happen to me in an amateur bout. I'm already, taped up and everything, and for weeks I didn't know what to do with that pent up energy. I'm shadow boxing in elevators, running and then just coming down from it.
Well, sometimes we'd go to weigh-ins, and if there was nobody your weight, you didn't fight. Yeah.
Now, Sergio, how many fights? How many fights have you had?
I'm undefeated, 1-0.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
I only had eight amateur fights.
Right, yo.
Yeah, I started late too,
Right.
but it was nice just to get it out the way.
Yeah, that's right.
I was training for so long. I said I just need to do this, and it felt good.
Yeah.
I said the same thing about the marathon. I said I'm doing one and done,
Yeah.
and now I'm doing it again. But I think I'm a little too grizzled and old to get back in the ring.
Yeah.
Unless I do a Masters and do 30-second rounds or 1-minute rounds with gloves that are this big,
There you go.
with the love handles overlapping my Everlast trunks.
Yeah, that's
Get
right.
rid of those love handles nobody loves.
Right.
Bank, bank.
Yeah, that's right.
Was Vernon a religious man?
Yeah, he had a deep faith. I don't really know how to quantify it, but yeah, it's very strong, very strong belief in God, and believe that he was on a path, to do something, whether it's be a champion, like I said, in the ring or out of the ring. Vernon was all on that path and always believed in something greater than himself.
After the 2 losses to Mayorga, is that when he got the reconstructive surgery on the arm?
It is. I think he had a layoff there for about 2 years, when he had the surgery. And he was plagued with, injuries through his career, shoulder, knee, and his right hand. I'd say, y'all have seen his fights. But his best punch, in my opinion, was his straight right, overhand right, and then, the really, it's hard to say which one's the best, right? I'd say you got to have that good jab. So he had an excellent jab.
Yeah,
He seems like a guy that wouldn't
given his
complain,
character and everything you say about his humility and being positive and having other things going on outside of the ring, I could see someone like that not being really plagued by the injury.
Right.
He probably still worked out other parts of his body and his mind, and stood in shape and still positive. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Just tremendous amount of courage, and strength, and his work ethic was just unbelievable. And
that must have been inspiring to be around that.
Right. Yeah, when you're around that, you've got a high bar, and so either you're going to quit or you're going to compete at a high level. It does. It rubs off on you. So it's a great thing.
What do you think of Vernon's best moment in his career was? If he had to answer that, which one do you think he would be the most proudest of?
To go back to the first world title, in Augusta at Bell Auditorium, I'd say he was. I was there for that fight. Saw it. Sat ringside, and I believe that's the first time I ever got to meet the late great Mills Lane. I don't know if y'all remember the referee. So he refereed that fight, and I was in the locker room with Vernon and got to meet Mills Lane. So that was pretty cool. But to win that first world championship, to do it on your home turf, I think he was very proud of that. And then the multiple others. I think 5-time world champion, which is just incredible.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did. Raul Frank, right?
Yeah, Raul Frank, he beat in, it was an accidental headbutt, and that's actually in around 2000, and then he beat him again, I think in Madison Square Garden. Yep. It was a rematch.
I saw Raul Frank used to train at Gleason's.
Yeah.
And I used to see him in the gym, and man, he had this hex head.
Yeah.
It was just like his cheekbones were high,
right.
His eyes were slanted, and I was maybe like boxing for like 6 hours. And my trainer was like, I got some sparring for you. And Frank looked at me like this. And I was like, I left my mouthpiece at home. I had 1,000,001 excuses. Of course, they were joking.
Right.
I didn't know, though.
Your switch went off.
My switch went off.
Right.
And it stood off. I said, you know what? I'll put the switch on for a podcast.
You know, and Vernon, like the last 10 fights of his career, I mean, he was fighting the top guys.
Absolutely.
And I like the fact that he fought those guys twice.
Yeah,
Right.
he fought Mora twice. He fought Mayorga twice. He fought Mosley twice. He fought Raul Frank twice. He fought a lot of good guys twice. Me personally, I feel like he was set for a decent reign. Do you feel the same way?
I think so. You know, the fights that I always wanted to see. You know, he was on the '92 Olympic team with Oscar De La Hoya, and you know, obviously, who isn't? You know, some are, but I've always been a big De La Hoya fan. It's just like boxing, but you know, Vernon always said, he goes, I got Oscar's number. He said, I'm going to get him one day, and so I always, you know, in my heart, you know, wanted to see the De La Hoya fight, you know, and then also to see Floyd. You know, as Floyd moved up, you know, it's been incredible to see, in my eyes, you know, what's happened, you know, since the, let's say 96 games, you know, because, you know, I was 119 and Floyd was 125, and just the way the model has been changed in professional boxing, and Floyd really, you know, on his own merit. I mean, he rewrote the book, you know, for professional boxing. You know, back in the day, I mean, Evander Holyfield, Mike Tyson were making $20 million, and if you would have told me in year 2000 that, you know, Floyd Mayweather would have made, you know, $350 million, $400 million a fight, I'd say you're crazy. You know, what are you even smoking?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How do you feel about the state of boxing currently?
I think it's on the comeback, you know, and some of that is to credit, you know, Al Heyman, you know, with his premier boxing champions. You know, Vernon was his first fighter. And I didn't even, it was actually, we were just talking about Raul Frank, you know, at that fight in 2000. I was in Vegas at Mandalay Bay, the one that ended in the accidental, you know, headbutt, you know, and so they stopped it. But Al was there and, you know, didn't know who he was in the locker room. Pretty quiet guy. And they say he likes to stay out of the spotlight, doesn't do interviews and things like that. But Al has really changed, you know, I think, you know, getting boxing back on Friday nights, you know, where it's not some big pay-per-view event and people can watch it, you know, free of charge. I mean, I think it's been good for the sport. I hope he still has, you know, success with it.
Yeah, Heyman seems like a man who's for the fighters.
Sure.
Would you say I'm correct in that assumption?
Right. I mean, I've only met him once. I don't know him well enough to say that.
Yeah, I don't even know what his face looks like.
Yeah,
I feel like
I have
every
no
time I
idea.
see him, all you see is a hand.
Yeah.
Like Dr. Claw.
Yeah, Dr. Claw.
Inspector
Yeah.
Gadget.
Petting a cat. And like, yes, these two fighters are going to collide, and that's it.
Yeah, but what I remember meeting him, he's a nice guy. And like I said, that's 20 plus years ago when I met him. And so, you know, Vernon always thought, you know, that he was really, you know, a good guy, you know, obviously his manager, you know, and then Vernon didn't have any, you know, bad words to say about Don King, you know, but I will say, you know, with Mayorga, I mean, that was Don King's fighter. I was a little nervous, you know, just the power puncher is the guy that always gets you. And when Don King finds a guy living in a hut that's smoking and drinking and, you know, can run a 4-minute mile, you know, and can punch that hard, you know, you might want to watch it close. But as y'all said, Vernon wasn't into ducking opponents, and he would take on those opponents as they came. So.
Yeah, Mayorga was a sight. He came
Yeah.
in with a Newport cigarette perched on his ear, a Budweiser, and he would just like wave you in, and he would throw these unorthodox punches.
He was
with-
very rude.
Yeah, very rude. He was very naughty. Very naughty.
Yeah.
And he would swing for the fences, man. And it's like
Absolutely.
very unorthodox. And he would punch you on top of your head and just keep on coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I went to the.
But, you know, I became a fan of Vernon because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I knew of him, but, you know, the hardships is what attracted me to him.
Sure.
You know, I was like, oh, man, this guy, like, he went for his, even though he got hurt, you know. And then I went back into the archives and I saw the earlier fights and I learned more about him. So it's interesting how, you know, a setback in his career is how I became introduced to him and how I came to become appreciative of him.
You have a boxing scholarship, right? The Durst Forrest boxing scholarship.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So, you know, to go to that, so the Augusta Boxing Club, that said really that, in my opinion, a hidden gem at Augusta, and he stayed with you and believed in people, that he surrounded himself with. So that was truly a gift to me, looking back on it, because you in professional game, the 95% of the fighters, 95% of the money's made by 5% of the fighters. I mean, so, and there's no pension plan. You're an independent contractor, and some of those things could have changed nowadays in the professional fight game. But back then, that was what the case was, and there wasn't longevity. To go, if you're like a retired NFL player or NBA, to go do something else with the support of a pension or healthcare plans. So, part of that scholarship is we wanted to be able to give back, to the number one, the Augusta Boxing Club that Tom Wright has founded, and now Ray Stingray Whitfield, who was a successful amateur and professional fighter. He still runs the club, and wanted to just give something to the community, because I felt like that's what Vernon would want me to do, and so created a scholarship to hopefully touch a lot of recipients, over the years. We recently started it April of this year with $50,000 initial contribution and have raised about $20,000. So we hope to be able to get in the community, get some recipients, work with Augusta University, also with Payne College and, technical schools there to get some kids in school.
Wow, that's a beautiful thing. That's also another great piece part of his legacy. I mean, his between Destiny's Child is still in operation, correct?
That I don't know. I mean, I haven't researched it lately. I don't know if it is or not.
Derek, that group broke up years ago. Beyonce's doing her own thing, man.
Yeah. Well, I do know this. I know Vernon's Destiny Child was first before the big group took off. I mean, because he probably
inspired them.
They took my name. What's this about? So it was
funny.
funny.
And he didn't sue them?
Yeah, no.
Wow,
yeah.
he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He really is.
Yeah, but
Vernon sounded like he was a good friend.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I can't get anything good from you but a vape pen. Hey, you want to smoke from my vape pen? This guy smokes vape.
But yeah, they actually, the city of Augusta just renamed I think it was the Hill Street Park, on Telfair Street in Augusta. They renamed that, the Vernon Forrest Park last week, and they've done a big memorial, for Vernon, a big plaque and, historical marker on the site. So it's pretty neat.
That is cool.
That's beautiful. What would you say your greatest memory of Vernon would be? The one that sticks out to you the most?
Really miss his laugh, smile, and joking and banter, of just hanging out with him. I mean, and talking boxing like y'all do. I mean, so it's fun to just sit around, and talk about it, for people that really truly love the sport. And so I miss that, and something that you can't get back. But what I do appreciate and why I feel I was led, to give and, getting involved in the Augusta community with the Augusta Boxing Club, with the scholarship is because of what Vernon gave to me. And so I think that's my duty and, of that service of passing it on to others that, hey, hopefully, I don't know when, where, who, we can touch the life of another kid coming up through the club that, whether or not they're successful in boxing, a champion in the ring, or a champion just in life, that we can impact them in a positive way. And so that really, I would say, is my most memorable moment.
Wow, that's awesome. It seems to me that you were very lucky to have Vernon in your life, but also he was very lucky to have you in his life, because you're doing just an amazing job with representing who he was. I mean, I got snippets of it, but you giving us this in-depth information is super cool, man. Yeah. And it's it goes full circle and it all makes sense, right? So I appreciate that. We all, I've lost close friends, and there's times where I'm alone and I feel like, God damn, what would this person do? Do you find yourself in situations like that where you think about Vernon? Do you feel like a spiritual connection sometimes, or you just kind of hold on to the memories and revisit that? Or do you feel like that connection still?
Right. No, I feel like I'm connected with him, through prayer, meditation. I've got a strong faith, and I was sharing with Levert, his brother, actually on Instagram. I said, I feel connected to Vernon sometimes. I feel like if I'm going into a situation where I need some courage or whatever it might be, I feel like I can pull on that power, and that's made a lasting impact. And so some people will say, well, that's not true. You're just doing it on your own. I mean, so it is, you can believe what you want. I tend to believe that, it's Vernon, coming, and helping me. And so, and happy to believe that, so, it brings, not to say tears of joy, but just happiness, to know that he's there helping me.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. Frank, I want to thank you again for your time.
Absolutely.
You are amazing, brother. I appreciate you. Please, I would love to have you back on the show. You're more than welcome. You ever find yourself in New York City? I'm not sure if you even know this, but with New York City Comics, we'll throw you some comp tickets you could sit back and enjoy with your friends and family, or just be a guest on the show. Whatever. Yeah. Our house is your house. Yeah. New York City is home for you. So I hope to meet you in person one day.
Absolutely. We'd love to do it. And maybe we can get Ray Whitfield to come on the show as well, but yeah. We wish y'all the most the best of luck and most success with your show. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay.
Have a great day.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye. There we have it, folks. Frank Durst. What a gentleman.
These interviews just keep getting better and better. I mean, I just love hearing about the person.
Well, we'll get into the human side of something that's of a sport that comes across as very primitive. Yeah. It's fighting.
Barbaric. Some would say.
Yeah. Treacherous.
It's
a sport that requires that you're gonna experience blood, guts, and tears, and it's very showboaty. It's very macho. It's very in your face. It's fighting. But there's a human side. You look like you're stuck on the word macho. That make you feel uncomfortable with the macho?
No, not
word?
at all. Not at all. I'm just. Conversations like this, they get my juices. I'm just in tune to everything you're saying.
Yeah,
but you decided to make fun of me, so
that's my defense mechanism, and it has been since I was a child.
Well, you were speaking well, and you just put it right down the toilet.
You got fucked up too.
Proceed.
You know what? Seriously, so there's a very human side to it. I love the fact that we got to highlight their relationship as friends and how you're not alone in this fucking world. Mm-hmm. You're allowed to reach out to a friend and ask for advice. When I have a hard time, I reach out to you. Yes. And you're there to pick up the call.
And you the same for me.
So when Vernon was alive, he was there for Frank.
That story about him getting into college is big.
Yeah, and even now that he's no longer with us, there's still a spiritual connection. So we have to understand that there's always a connection when you have faith and believe, and you have to hold on to those memories and exercise and promote the goodness of your friends, of your family. Share the stories. A lot of times we're taught to be protective of our feelings and not let them out or whatever. And I think when we share at that capacity, we become more evolved. We become better. It becomes more human. It becomes easier. It becomes more manageable.
Yeah. I mean, look at the nonprofit he started. Had a very great. Their message was great. The mission. Their mission.
Yeah, can we change the Destiny's Child name to SWV? I prefer that R&B group. If I want to talk about the early 90s, early 2000s.
Escape.
Yeah,
they were good.
Escape.
Take off your shoes and relax your feet.
Yeah. Total
was I love them. They were all lesbians, but they were great. Kima, Keisha, and Pam. Remember? What was that song they did with Biggie back there?
Can't you see?
What you do?
Yeah, and Biggie had the white outfit on with the cane.
How'd that verse start? We can't end this episode to
it. Something about my rap. My rap lines are like landmines. Yeah. One step, kaboom.
Black suits fill the room. Yeah. That was it. We going back.
Speaking of landmines, if you're in New York City, clean up your dog shit. I stepped in a pile of shit the other day, and I was searching for a puddle of water and twigs.
You need to pay attention, son.
Watch your step, kid.
Watch your step, kid.
Wu-Tang. Watch your step, kid.
Wu-Tang.
Watch your step, kid.
Yep. You best
what a great interview. I would be lying if I would say I'm not a little bit fanned out by the kind of behind the wall like information. These guys.
And these guys they're respecting us because they can tell how passionate we are about boxing, and our knowledge pans out. I'll tell you this, I want these episodes out I want them out. I'm tired of sitting on this shit.
Yo,
I'm tired of sitting on this shit, Marshall. We're getting, like, and I don't want to blow our own horns or toot our own horns, but we're getting good.
Yeah, we're good.
We're getting good.
We got a nice little rhythm. It's like Ghostface Killer and Raekwon.
I'm Ghostface. You're Raekwon.
Nah. Chill, God. Chill, God.
Run. I mean, what's happening with this is that we're within a matter of minutes, we're comfortable with whoever we're interviewing, and they're comfortable with us. I mean, these have been heavy interviews.
Right. And which, by the way, is not an easy feat because this is Zoom.
Right.
And, we're just that good at what we do, you know what I'm
No,
saying?
we're not on Zoom. We're on Riverside, which is a wonderful program, I would like to say. Maybe they'll sponsor us because we need some money.
Yeah, the only Riverside I know is the Bronx. You know what I mean?
No, that's
The only
town.
Riverside I know is the Bronx. I stay with Zoom all day.
Yo, but Riverside, it's great quality.
It is. I can see your boogers on the screen.
I mean, even when it looks like not good to us, it's good on their end, and then that's what we use to edit. So
yeah, initially with the Ray Boo Boo Mancini one,
I was
he was all
worried.
pixeled out. I was like, this looks like the first Nintendo. Guys, that's another episode. Derek, you want to close with anything?
I mean, I hope everybody enjoyed the episode. If you didn't, you're not a human being, and I've enjoyed.
If you didn't enjoy the episode, there's a place for you guys. It's called a blog. Go on a blog and complain about it. We're not trying to hear it.
Be like Roger Mayweather. Be like, these guys don't know shit about boxing. These guys don't know shit about boxing.
Good times, man. I appreciate you, homeboy.
Absolutely.
Another one in the books. That's POP, Picking Up Punches, Sound Lounge, Be Frank Network. We out.